Welcome class 5 in your science class, and we are doing force, work and energy. We know I have already discussed and I have given you the video what is force and related other kind of forces we have already discussed. Now the last one was remaining, that was force of friction. So what is force of friction? What is force of friction? A force that shows down the movement of an object on a surface is called the force of friction. Suppose you are swinging in a swing, then when you are stretching your legs, the swing moves on and it gives the more and more swings. But when we want to stop the swing, we just does the work opposite. Then that time we just try to pull our legs towards ourselves or towards the opposite direction. So this is the friction. That means friction always moves and works in the opposite direction. It slows down the movement of any object. Suppose you are rolling a ball. So ball will continuously not roll on the floor, because after some time it will stop. Why? Because this floor will provide a opposite force to it, and that will stop the ball. Okay. So the ball, and you will take anything when you go somewhere in the mall or somewhere in the market where you will see something is slippery. Why you are just slipping there and you skidded over that place? Because friction is less on that place, because wetty places are having the less friction. Smooth surfaces have the less friction. Understood? Now when you roll a ball, when you are in some way, when you stop paddling your cycle, it gradually slows down. Why do this stop? They stop because force act between the object and the floor that slows down the object. The force is called the frictional force. Now advantage of the friction: it helps us to the walk, otherwise we always fall down. Nothing will hold us and nothing will just stop our movement. If we start to move once, then we will move all the time. So friction is the force which is applying, or which is just applicable on the opposite direction, and it stops and it maintains our movement. So because there is in a very smooth surface, when the sometimes we come out from the toilet and bathroom and we skidded. So why we skidded? Because wet floor or the wetty things are having the less friction. Now friction between the road and the tire. Automobiles makes their movement easier. If the tires do not have the total grip, if you will see athletic person who try to run and who are having some kind of sports, they are nowadays their sneakers are having grooves in their sole. Why? It makes and it gives the good grip. Otherwise, if you will not get the good grip, the person may be, because forcefully that person is going in the athlete, they are playing, and if suddenly they will stop, they may fall down. So it gives a good grip to the shoes. So the frictions are always few of very advantageous in few ways. Okay. Now without friction we cannot write. Suppose I am writing here, if the board is so slippery, you have also maybe you have noticed it in slippery board, it is very tough to write. So we cannot write in a slippery. Sometimes the board become very slippery, and that time it is very difficult to write, because chalk never stick on the board. But when the board is not so smooth, that time we can write, because chalk particles stick on the board due to the friction. Understood? Now same in the page, when you are writing with the pen with the help of the ink, if the friction is there, your writing will become, and if there is no friction, then it will be sometimes very greasy type of places, some smoothie places you want to write with the ink and it never stays there, it becomes sweep off, or it becomes just you don't see the letters. Why? Because there is no friction, so the particles of the ink, they will not stay on that, they will sweep off. Okay. So this is how they are very useful. Now disadvantages. So the machines are due to this friction, machines will become weak and they are tearing off, they become breakdown, because constantly friction makes the system of the machine becomes weak. Okay, so due to this friction maybe the machines become weak, and the friction produces heat that damage the machine. That's why we use the oil in the sewing machine cycle, so that friction can be reduced. Sometimes you will see during the summer our ceiling fan also makes some kind of sound, and they become slow down day by day. So that time when the electrician comes, they used to give some oil in the ball bearing or within the fan, and then it becomes smooth, and again it has started the speedy movement. So why? Because friction makes it slow, and friction makes the machinery part eating away and eroded. Okay, so these are the disadvantages of the friction. Friction damages the tire of the vehicle. So each time whenever in some places when the vehicles are going, their tire tubes, due to the friction, they are being tearing away, they are being just tear away and broken down. So due to friction we have to frequently change our shoes and the tire tubes of any vehicle. Okay, now come up in the next part. What is the force that earth attracts every object towards its center? So the multiple choice MCQ, page 72. So the first one is what is the force of earth that attracts every object towards its center? So the three options are given here: gravitational force, magnetic force and electrostatic force. Naturally everything is attracted by its center is gravitational force. So the answer 1 is A. Gravitational force. Now number 2 is here. What is the number 2? What is the force produced by rubbing things with each other called? This is the frictional force. So the number 2, option C is the correct answer. This is frictional force. Frictional force. Okay, now work. What is work? Suppose there is a block and we push it towards this and it moves to come this place. So when this block comes to this place, so there is a displacement because we are pushing it and we are applying a force, push force, and we are moving the this block from this place to this place. So this is the previous place, this is the main place, and then it has been moved to the new place. So the displacement has done. So any kind of work in a science we considered when there is any movement. Okay, so when thing move from one place to another, then it is said in the science that the work has done. Suppose you are doing some mental work. Suppose you are working in a place, you are writing in a place, you are doing the whole day long, you are just completing your homework. So that work will be not considered in the physics. So what will be considered? If there is a movement. Suppose you are bringing your book from the shelf, from your place you are going there, so there is a movement, you moved from one place to another. So the work has done. Okay. Now it is given here, look at the picture given alongside. This Ram is reading a book, Anuj is pulling a car. Now tell who is doing the work. Who is doing work? Anuj. Why? Because along with the toy car he is moving, his toy car is changing its position along with the Anuj. So as Anuj is changing his position, he is covering the distance. So Anuj is doing the work. Whereas Ram is ideally sitting in a place and doing the work. So he is doing all the mental work. He is reading in a one place. So that means he is not doing at all work in the science. Maybe mentally he is doing a lot of work, but physical work is none. So that's why in a science, or you say in especially in the physics, the work is not being done here. Okay. Now look at the picture. Now surprised, in science, work is said to be done only when force changes the position of an object. Anuj is applying force to move the toy car. Car is changing its position, so he is doing the work. Thus, work is said to be done only when the applied force changes the position of any object in the direction of the applied force. Okay. So I have shown you, we have applied the force in this direction and block moved in a new position. This is the new position. So it has been changed its place, isn't it? So it moves during the force, it moves in the direction in which I have or anybody has pushed that. So this is the movement in the direction where the force is being applied. So here the work has been done. Understood? Now when you push a wall and there is no change, that means there is no work has done. Suppose I am pushing the blackboard because at back there is a wall, or if I push this door, if I push something very solid like a tree, and then it is very difficult for me to move a tree, to move a wall, to move any heavy object. So there will be no work will be done. Understood? So unless and until the movement of the object is not done, unless and until the movement of the object is not in the direction of the desired or the applied force, that means work is not being done in the science. If there is a movement of work, if the movement is there, if the in the object is just change its position in the direction of the applied force, then the work has done. Okay. Now there will be the energy. What kinds of energy are here? So the ability to do work is called the energy. What is energy? Whatever the work sometimes we are becoming very slow, and your teacher says, you know, you don't have any energy. So why they are saying? Because energy is the ability to do any kind of work. We have the enough strength. If we have the energy, then we will do the work, then we will move better, isn't it? So we need energy to perform any kind of activity like playing, reading, sleeping. Even machines need energy to do work. So machines also need some energy to do the work. So the type of energy are heat energy, light energy, kinetic energy. First one is, now we will write the types of energy, or we will write, yes, type of energy, types of energy. Number one is heat energy. Number two is light energy. Number three is kinetic energy. And number four is potential energy. Potential. Okay. Now, fifth one is mechanical energy. Sixth one is electrical energy. Seventh one is wind energy. And eighth one is solar energy. Ninth one is Which one is ninth one? Sound energy. And 10th, and the last one is hydro energy. Okay, so the first one I'll take. First one is what kind of energy? That is heat energy. So energy that we get from the heat is called the heat energy. The energy is produced by burning fuels like coal, LPG, kerosene. When we are using any kind of this fuel energy, we are getting heat. So this type of energy is called the heat energy. So we use, what is the application of the heat energy? We cook food due to this heat, and the trees or the leaves also make their food due to the solar energy or due to the heat of the sun. Now next one is the light energy. Energy that we get from the light is called the light energy. The CFL, bulb, lamp, candle, etc., they all are giving out light, and we use this energy. Around us we see all the things with the help of this light energy. If the light energy will be not there, if the room is so dark, then it will be difficult for us to see. So the light energy enables us to see. Next one is the kinetic energy. What is kinetic energy? The energy of an object due to its motion is called the kinetic energy. Suppose suppose this is the kinetic energy. How you will define kinetic energy? Suppose within one block a glass of water is I am keeping here, and the water is, just suppose it is in the vessel. Okay, and when the water is here, that is the energy is called the potential energy. But once it will start moving, it will falling down. So due to this movement is called the kinetic energy. And suppose one ball is in your hand, and when you are throwing it, so it becomes in the movement. So the ball will move like this. Okay, ball, if we are throwing the ball, ball will come to this place. So due to the movement, whatever the energy it will gain, that is called the kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy is due to the movement, or kinetic energy is the energy which comes through the movement. So here it is given, the energy of an object due to its motion is called the kinetic energy. A moving bus, a moving cycle, running boy, etc. have the kinetic energy. If that boy stops, that means there is no kinetic energy. But during the time when he is moving its body, when the motion is there, and only any kind of motion gives the kinetic energy. Okay. Now fourth one is the potential energy. The energy is stored in an object due to its position. In a dam, you have seen the water is being stored in the dam. But so the storing water is having a potential, it has a energy. So the storing water, the energy which it possesses on its position, due to the higher position, it has a amount of energy. That energy is the potential energy. But when we are opening the dam and the water is started to falling down, then the water will having the kinetic energy due to its movement. Understood? So this is the difference of the potential energy and kinetic energy. The water is stored in a tank at a height at the roof of the house as a potential energy. When it is started to come through the pipe to our houses, that time it is doing some motion, it is having some movement. So due to this movement, now when the water will move, that time it will possess the kinetic energy. But when it is in the higher position, that time when it is inside the tank, that time it has the potential energy. Understood? Now the mechanical energy. The fifth one is the mechanical energy. We will it is giving the sense of some machine, isn't it? So the energy which possessed by the machine is called the mechanical energy. The energy is an object due to its position, potential, or its motion. Kinetic energy is called the mechanical energy. So the energy of an object. So when the water is stored behind the dam in the reservoir. So when it is being stored in the reservoir, that is a potential energy. When it changes into the kinetic energy, when the water falls down and from the certain height. So it is the kinetic energy, and both as a whole is a mechanical energy. Suppose we have a cycle, okay. So cycle, it is keeping in its position, it is not moving that time. So it has a potential energy. But when you start to riding it, the cycle tires and tubes, they will move. So that time it have the kinetic energy. As a whole, the machine will provide the mechanical energy, because we are using the machine for this movement. So this machine is producing due to the potential and kinetic energy altogether, they are producing the mechanical energy. Understood? So machines are actually due to its position and due to the movement of the machine, the kind of energy it is producing, that is called the mechanical energy. Now the electrical energy, we know electrons moves and they produces the electricity. Now electrical energy, the energy that we get from the electrical current is called the electrical energy, and we know electrical energy comes through the movement of the ions, or you can say the electrons, which are the in the form of energy. They are, we cannot see them, they move through the wires and they produces the energy. So the current and whatever we get from the electricity or the current is called the electrical energy. It is used to any kind of electrical appliances like television, washing machine, even everywhere now the electrical energy is applicable. Even for the movement of the machines are capable, few machines are also work on the basis of the electricity, and without electricity even the machines will not work in the factory. So in the factory we use all kind of energy. One is electrical energy, because machine will start, due to the position of the machine it will have the potential energy. When it start to work, that time the all parts of the machine will move, and that time it will have the kinetic energy. Understood? Now the wind energy, the energy that we get from the wind is called the wind energy. Have you seen this type of there are these type of the windmills, no? I think you have seen it, isn't it? So there are wind and it moves and it rotates. Due to the rotation of these wings of the windmill, they capture energy of the wind, isn't it? So this is the windmills which produces the energy from the wind. So this is a wind energy which we catch from, which is stored from the windmill, or you can say which moves. The wind moves the wind actually is a form of energy. It moves the propeller or the fans of the windmill, and through this we capture and we store the energy, and that energy is called the wind energy. If anybody have visited Rajasthan, they will see lots of these windmills are there, and they as they do not have the water and they do not have any other resources, so they and the air is too good in the Rajasthani area or in the Rajasthan, so they capture this wind energy. Even in the Digha I have seen so many windmills are there, isn't it? Now solar energy, we know solar energy is the energy that we get from the sun, is called the solar energy, and with the help of this solar energy leaves make their food. Our solar energy, nowadays we are using the solar panels for electricity, and solar cooker we use for cooking our food. Even the solar heater is there by which we can heat our water. There are so many appliances which work on solar energy, isn't it? So the only disadvantage is if the sunlight not come out. Even the calculators, solar calculators are also there. Solar watches are there. So there are so many appliances which work on the energy of sun. Now the sound energy, it is produced when an object start vibrating. So I have explained you, everything goes in our ear, every sound goes in our ear through the vibration. So the vibration of anything produces the sound. So sound energy comes to us through the vibration of anything. For example, a string of the guitar vibrate and we can hear the sound. The membrane of the tabla or the outer membrane, the upper surface of the tabla, when we start to just vibrate it, it produces sound. Even the flute, we just vibrate the air columns and the sound comes us. So, through the vibration, sound energy work. Okay. Next one is the hydro energy. We know the energy of the flowing water generates electricity in the hydroelectrical power plant. The electrical energy is so generated is called the hydroelectricity. Wherever in the dam you will see there is a one machine which just rotates on its own axis, and there they consume. Here it is the generator and it is turbine. So, turbine constantly move and this kinetic energy is consumed in this, or they are being trapped in the generator, and this generator produces energy through the kinetic energy of this turbine. Because water constantly flow, they moves the turbine moves due to the movement of the water, and from the movement of the water kinetic energy is being producing, and this kinetic energy with the help of the generator we produce the electrical energy. Okay. So, the hydroelectrical energy is also very famous. Now, next one is again the MCQ pattern question. So, we will write this question and see the answer. So, the MCQ this is page number 74. So, the first question is, in which of the following activity work is said to be done? Sleeping, eating, playing football. So, naturally it is C. Playing football. C is playing football. Okay. Now, the next one is, what is the ability to do work is called force, energy or friction. So, it is energy. B is second one, B energy. So, that is all for the day, and the simple machine or the last part of the simple machine and cases of the lever, what is pulley and compound machine, these all I will take in my next class. Okay. So, that is all for the day, and best of luck for your exam, but it is PT2. So, you the days are very near for the term 2, that is why you just go through the videos, understand it and write the question answers. Okay. Thank you for the day.